Hi, my name's Stewart Desson, the founder and CEO of Lumina Learning. In this short talk, I'd like to talk to you about the origins of the three personas that underlying the everyday and the overextended. I'd also like to give you the underlying academic rationale for why we want to break things out, measure them at both ends and measure them in the three personas. So this idea of three personas is not a completely new idea. Other instruments on the market have done similar things. Goldberg himself talked about the issue of evaluatively unbalanced descriptors and some of the issues which we're addressing in Luminous Spark. The OPQ had a mix of personality and competency measures within it. The Saville wave model has of course got the motives and the talents, two different, if you like, alternative forms of persona in the same model. The PAPI of course measures needs and roles, and Hogan, well, you've got the bright side, the dark side, and different sorts of items measured in Hogan too. So why are we interested in breaking things out into the three personas? Well, the first thing is this idea of valence. Do we perceive an item as positive or negative? And contrasting that with the descriptive content of an item. So let me give you an example. It could be that an extroverted item, I'm cheerful and upbeat, if I have a very positive valence and I'm extroverted, I'm much more likely to strongly agree with it. But if I'm extroverted but I don't always see myself so positively, I might not strongly agree, I might just agree. So there's an idea here that the valence has an impact based on the actual nature of the item. Why is this important? Well, if all the items in a questionnaire have a similar sort of level of social desirability, that's not really an issue. But often in Big Five instruments, that's not the case. You often find that one end of the polarity is expressed much more positively than the other. So here's a nice quote. When an evaluatively unbalanced set of descriptors, such as the Big Five adjectival markers by Goldberg, is subject to a simple structural rotation algorithm, the resulting factors almost invariably end up contrasting positive versus negative descriptors. So let's make that practical. What does that mean? Here are the extroverted adjectives from Goldberg's list. If you're extroverted, you're unrestrained, you're active, you're vigorous, you're bold. These things all sound pretty positive. Introversion is described as unexcitable, inhibited, untalkative, timid, withdrawn. You can get a sense just by looking at this data that the extroverted pole is slightly more socially desirable than the introverted one. And this happens in other instruments too. I'm a cheerful optimist. It could be an extroverted item. I sometimes fail to assert myself as much as I could is an introverted item from a popular instrument on the market. You can see the evaluative bias coming through. What's the challenge here? Well, the challenge is it could be I might be actually much more extroverted, but if I don't have such a high positive self-worth, I might be slightly more inclined to take some of the introverted items, and we're not sure when we look at the results exactly what we're getting. How can we separate out these factors? Well, there is a solution to this. It has been researched. You take an item and you break it into two items. So here's an example here. Does things without thinking, doesn't plan ahead, can be cracked out into two items. One is slightly more positive and one is slightly more negative. And this way we'll be in the questionnaire separating out descriptive content from the valence. Let's take this into the realm of Luminous Spark. How do you do it in Spark? Well, here's the underlying, the everyday, the overextended. We're looking here at collaborative versus competitive. By having, if you like, positive items underlying in everyday, and then the overextended, looking at too much of a good thing, and doing the same for the opposite with competitive, we are perfectly balancing the model, and we're able to separate out and truly understand what's descriptive content versus what is a person's esteem or desire to tick socially positive items in a questionnaire. I hope you find that rationale for why we want to break out the three personas so that we remove any of these biases. I hope you found that fascinating, and thank you for your time.